Wrestling fans, get ready, because what just happened on SmackDown is something that will echo across the WWE landscape for months to come. This wasn't just a return. This wasn't just an ambush. This was a seismic shift that WWE never saw coming, and neither did we. Roman Reigns, the once-dethroned tribal chief, made his thunderous comeback to WWE, and when all odds were stacked against him, he wasn't alone. A monster emerged. A new force made himself known. And in the most unexpected twist yet, Jacob Fatu stood tall next to Roman Reigns and acknowledged him as his tribal chief. But here's what's going to make your blood boil: WWE had us all fooled. They made us believe Roman was finished, that the bloodline was dead, that Seth Rollins had permanently taken over as the alpha of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. They fed us lie after lie while they were orchestrating the most devastating comeback in wrestling history. That's right. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf, made the most dramatic, impactful debut WWE has seen in years by not only saving Reigns from the clutches of Seth Rollins' brutal faction, but by declaring his allegiance to the man he now calls his tribal chief. The message was loud and clear: Jacob Fatu is no pawn. He's not just some member of the bloodline. He is here for war. And his war starts with Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. But what's really going to infuriate you is how WWE played us like fiddles, making us think we knew what was coming while they were planning the most shocking debut in modern wrestling history. Let's take it back. It's June 13, 2025. SmackDown is live in Chicago, and the air inside the Allstate Arena is electric. Fans are still talking about the chaos that unfolded at WrestleMania 41. Roman Reigns lost it all. He was betrayed by Paul Heyman. He was pinned by Seth Rollins. And for months, Reigns was silent. Gone from WWE, gone from the bloodline, and out of the spotlight. Meanwhile, Rollins took his opportunity and ran with it. Not only did he secure the WWE Universal Championship, but he also built a faction so dominant it looked untouchable. Rollins, with Heyman whispering in his ear again, brought in Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, two of the most physically terrifying superstars on the roster. But here's what's going to make you absolutely furious: WWE Creative knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted us to forget about Roman. They wanted us to accept that Rollins was the new face of the company. They manipulated every single one of us into believing that the tribal chief era was over. And while we were all buying into their narrative, they were secretly planning the most explosive comeback in wrestling history. They were setting up a debut so shocking that it would make us question everything we thought we knew about the current state of WWE. The show started innocently enough. Rollins opened with his typical arrogant promo, flanked by Breaker and Reed, talking about how he had finally brought order to WWE. He mocked Roman's absence, laughed about Heyman's smart decision to abandon a sinking ship, and promised that his reign of terror was just beginning. But then something happened that should have been our first clue. The lights flickered. Just for a second. Most fans probably thought it was a technical glitch, but those of us who've been watching WWE for years know that nothing happens by accident on live television. Rollins continued his promo, but you could see something in his eyes. A nervousness. A fear. Like he knew something was coming but couldn't prepare for it. Breaker and Reed looked uncomfortable too, constantly scanning the entrance ramp and the crowd. Then it happened. The arena went completely black. Not just dim, completely black. The kind of darkness that makes your heart race because you know something massive is about to happen. The crowd was on their feet, phones out, flashlights illuminating the arena like a constellation of anticipation. When the lights came back up, Roman Reigns was standing in the ring behind Rollins. But that's not what made everyone lose their minds. Standing next to Roman, like a warrior ready for battle, was Jacob Fatu. The Samoan Werewolf had arrived in WWE, and he was already aligned with the original tribal chief. What happened next was pure violence. Rollins turned around and saw Roman, but before he could react, Jacob Fatu exploded into action. This wasn't just a wrestling move, this was a statement of intent. Fatu hit Rollins with a super kick so devastating that it echoed throughout the arena like a gunshot. Breakker and Reed tried to intervene, but they were dealing with two men who had clearly been planning this moment for months. Roman took out Reed with a spear that looked like it could have broken the man in half, while Fatu dominated Breakker with a combination of power moves and technical wrestling that showcased exactly why he's considered one of the most dangerous wrestlers in the world. But here's what's really going to make your blood boil: WWE had been planning this for months. While we were all wondering where Roman was, while we were speculating about his future, while we were being fed storylines about Rollins' dominance, they were secretly negotiating with Jacob Fatu and planning the most shocking debut in modern wrestling history. They played us. They manipulated our emotions. They made us think we knew what was happening while they were orchestrating something completely different behind the scenes. After the violence subsided and Rollins' faction was laid out in the ring, what happened next sent chills down every wrestling fan's spine. Jacob Fatu walked over to Roman Reigns, looked him directly in the eyes, and said 4 words that will echo through wrestling history: "You are my chief." This wasn't just respect. This wasn't just an alliance. This was Jacob Fatu, one of the most dominant wrestlers in the world, acknowledging Roman Reigns as his superior. The Samoan Werewolf was bowing to the tribal chief, and the implications were staggering. But what's really infuriating is how WWE built this moment. They made us believe that Roman was finished, that the bloodline was dead, that there was no way back from the betrayal at WrestleMania. They fed us false hope and fake storylines while they were secretly planning the most dramatic comeback in wrestling history. Roman stood in the center of the ring, championship gold around his waist once again, with Jacob Fatu by his side, and delivered a promo that sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. "I told you that you would acknowledge me. I told you that the head of the table doesn't stay down. And now, I have brought reinforcements that will make sure nobody ever forgets who runs this company." The crowd's reaction was unlike anything we've seen in years. Half the arena was cheering for the return of Roman Reigns and the shocking debut of Jacob Fatu. The other half was booing because they realized they had been completely manipulated by WWE's storytelling. Social media exploded within minutes. Hashtag Jacob Fatu was trending worldwide. Hashtag Tribal Chief was dominating Twitter. Wrestling forums crashed from the sheer volume of fans trying to process what they had just witnessed. But here's what's really going to make you furious: WWE executives were probably laughing at us. They knew exactly how we would react. They planned our shock, our anger, our confusion. They manipulated our emotions like we were puppets on strings. And the worst part? It worked perfectly. We're all talking about it. We're all sharing videos. We're all trying to figure out what happens next. WWE played us like a fiddle, and we fell for it completely. The implications of Jacob Fatu's debut and alliance with Roman Reigns are staggering. This isn't just about two wrestlers joining forces, this is about the complete reshuffling of WWE's power structure. Rollins, who thought he was untouchable with Breakker and Reed by his side, now faces a coalition that could destroy everything he's built. The bloodline isn't just back, it's stronger than ever, with Jacob Fatu bringing a level of intensity and violence that we've never seen before. But what's really infuriating is how WWE is going to use this. They're going to milk this storyline for months, maybe years. They're going to make us pay for pay-per-views, buy merchandise, and tune in every week just to see what happens next. They've created the perfect storm of wrestling drama, and they know we're all going to be helpless to resist it. We're going to watch every segment, analyze every promo, and speculate about every possible outcome because they've hooked us with one of the most shocking debuts in wrestling history. But here's what really needs to be said: WWE betrayed us. They made us believe that Roman was finished, that the bloodline was dead, that we were moving into a new era. They fed us storylines about Rollins' dominance while secretly planning the most dramatic comeback in wrestling history. They used our emotions against us. They made us invest in false narratives while they were planning something completely different. They manipulated our expectations and then shattered them in the most dramatic way possible. And the worst part? We're all going to forgive them because the payoff was so incredible. We're going to forget about being manipulated because Jacob Fatu's debut was so shocking and Roman's return was so satisfying. WWE knows exactly what they're doing. They know how to play with our emotions, how to manipulate our expectations, and how to create moments that we'll never forget. They've turned wrestling into the ultimate form of emotional manipulation, and we're all willing participants. Jacob Fatu's debut on SmackDown wasn't just a wrestling moment, it was a masterclass in audience manipulation. WWE spent months making us believe one thing while planning something completely different. They used our emotions, our expectations, and our loyalty against us to create one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history. Roman Reigns is back. Jacob Fatu has arrived. The bloodline is stronger than ever. And WWE has proven once again that they know exactly how to play us like instruments in their grand symphony of sports entertainment. We've been manipulated, betrayed, and emotionally devastated. But we're also completely hooked on what happens next. WWE has created the perfect wrestling storm, and we're all going to be swept away by it. The question isn't whether Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns will dominate WWE, it's whether we'll ever be able to trust WWE's storytelling again after they've shown us just how easily they can manipulate our emotions and expectations. But let's be honest, we don't care. We're all going to tune in next week to see what happens next, because that's exactly what WWE wants, and that's exactly what they've trained us to do. The game has changed. The tribal chief is back. The Samoan Werewolf has arrived. And we've all been played by the greatest storytellers in sports entertainment. What do you think? Are you angry about being manipulated? Are you excited about what's coming next? Let me know in the comments, because WWE has given us a lot to talk about, and I want to hear every single one of your thoughts about this shocking turn of events. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.